Welcome everyone to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide right here on the Latiners Network. Way to go over all the shows, documentaries, films released on streaming over the past week. Give you your best recommendations or non-recommendations as the case may be. And of course, at the end of the show, letting you know what's coming out. So you too can create your very own watch list. Joining us as always to give his recommendations. Live from Houston, Chewy, of course. In this case, aka Hyman. But we'll stick with Chewy.
Word. What's going on, brother?
Judging by his hat, getting ready for football season coming up.
Hey, man, Jaden Daniels, baby. Take me to the
Every,
title again.
every Sunday is Watch This Sunday, that's for sure. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe here every Sunday. We do the show, we let you know what's going on TV. There's always something to watch. I don't care what anybody says. And of course, if you're not new to us, thanks for joining us again. Comment below, subscribe, like, as always, help us out. And that's it, Chewy. Let's get on with it. A couple of documentaries. First one on Netflix, Trainwreck, the Astro World Tragedy. This, of course, it's like me a weekly series, almost like the Untold ones, the sports-related
Yeah,
ones on
exactly.
Netflix. This one you're focusing, of course, very recent events, 2021, I think, 22. The Astro World event, and of course, in Houston because it's Texas and
Might have been 23. I can't remember.
2023, and things don't always run great in Texas. Just saying, and this is what happens. And we had, of course, the big event with I think Travis Scott, the big headliner in those events, and
Yeah.
mayhem broke out. And there's some focusing why, how it happened. Speaking to some of the kids who were in the actual crowd and people who knew people who ended up. I think 10 people died, more or less. I think.
But I believe that it was around about in that range.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
10 to 12, around there. 12 too many, obviously, for a concert. It didn't make any sense, and what happened and why the events leading up to this tragic event and all that. So, people in security, a lot of people were inside the what occurred. So, your thoughts on this one, Chewy?
Fairly interesting. It was entertained. I haven't seen the previous iterations. I think they did like a Woodstock one up before, and
They
maybe a
did, yeah.
couple other ones. So again, fairly recent. Obviously, my home, not my hometown, but my current home, I guess. So I remember when it happened, but then we get into the details of what going on. Obviously, the lawsuits afterwards didn't really follow the story after that. Not, like I said, not big Travis Scott fan, so I wasn't, to me, I was like, whatever.
Sure.
But it's still
You're not
interesting,
his
presented well.
demographic, so I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not. But presented well, interesting, and obviously, I like that guy. They brought in a guy who I guess is not an expert in crowd control, but as far as how to actually run these properly, safely, and some of the things that the mistakes they made. But what I found interesting is at the end of the day, with most of these cases, no one's found criminally liable, right? It's or no one's liable. Yes, there's lawsuits and people make payouts and whatnot, but as far as
I'm sure, yeah.
any, I think, yeah, there was no charges or nothing brought up as far as who was ultimately
No
responsible.
convictions, I guess would be the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people responsible, right? I mean, the live, the promoters and whatnot. I even to a certain extent, even Travis Scott. I mean, Jesus, there's an emergency situation,
I
and
mean,
and
it's yes. I mean, it's hard. You're gonna listen. It's a lot of noise there. It's hard. He's
okay,
leading the
it's hard to.
show.
I mean, it's a big crowd. I mean, obviously, with the crowd, I mean, the man, you can see. I
It's a
mean,
massive crowd.
there was something going wrong because people
Sure.
were like literally trying to get out of those areas. They're literally being crushed because people were coming in from the back, and it wasn't like a stampede situation. But at the very beginning, it was a stampede.
Kind of, but no, yeah. It's just
getting to
yeah.
security, but you see people. It's like a slow wave, right? People
Mhm.
keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and people in the front like they got nowhere to go, So, but there were something was going on, and no one said, hey, can we
Correct.
like
Right.
stop for a few minutes and restore order or figure out what's going on? I mean, it's like they had a one person, and then it continued, right? And like whether he was told by anyone that hey, this is what's going on, guys, stop the damn thing or not is unknown. And
Sure. We're never gonna know that. And listen, it's a good documentary, and it's very recent. And hearing from the kids in there itself, and see the video, and see people in
mm,
actual crowds is very eye opening and stuff. But the blame pie goes around a lot of that's a lot of pieces to the pie.
mm,
And even in kids, man, let's call this what it is. Kids act a certain way, and that's how kids do. And I get it. We're all that age. We all do stupid shit. That's how it works at a
mm.
concert. Your mosh pit, all that goes on. But people get
Yeah, but
hurt.
then
You,
that's when the
you,
adults step in and say, okay, how
of
do you
course,
how do you manage?
but you gotta look
How
in
do
the
you how,
mirror
how do
too at
you
the
how
same
do
time.
you
Yeah.
you you anticipate a certain behavior and you set things up or manage the crowd to counteract that, right? Because that
I mean,
and
yeah, the
so
whole thing was out of control. There were people
yeah, I
breaking
mean,
in
right from the beginning,
early, and people
yes.
breaking in early. I mean, you can blame security, but listen, it's like, okay, if someone breaks into my house, I didn't have the alarm. Blame me not having the alarm. I blame the guy who broke into the house. Alarm or no alarm, you broke into the house and his kids were rowdy, and that's what happens. And they share some part of the blame. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like security wasn't pushing them. Let's be
No,
honest,
no,
right?
no, no. The kids. I mean, there was
Right.
obviously
Now,
an excitement.
you're right. There weren't things in place to help prevent that, alleviate that. So, like
Yeah,
I said, there's a big pie, and they all share the blame. But it's really cool having gone into all that stuff, and I said it's
yeah, and
very
actually show
recent.
it
Yeah,
actually showed
yeah,
like videos of
of
what
course,
proper flow and how to prevent some of these
exactly.
things from happening because you anticipate. Obviously they already had there was already probably an overcrowd as far as tickets sold versus how
Well,
they had set up the
allegedly,
venue.
apparently not, because the court didn't see it that way. The jury did.
Well,
So,
I mean, but
yeah,
well, the
whatever.
what the court is what they do, or what the grand jury is trying to do is okay. So it was actually someone to blame. I mean,
Of
an honest
course, yeah.
mistake is not criminal,
No,
right?
no, no, of course not, of course
Poor
not.
setup, poor
Yeah,
planning
yeah,
is not criminal. So you can't find someone criminal unless it's on purpose, right?
right.
Or there's unintended consequences, and then there's predicted consequences, right? And so that's the fine line between
Of
one and
course,
the other.
it's just the
Whether
response. Yeah, everyone's
yeah,
responsible. The
like I
venue,
said,
and yeah,
it's like me not wearing a seatbelt. If I get into an accident, will I die? Probably, and that's a conscious decision because I
sure.
know that the data says if I wear a seatbelt, I more likely will survive a severe accident, right? Just
Of course.
dependent, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if a Mack truck hits me, the seatbelt ain't gonna do shit, but
probably not.
right. So that's the I make a conscious decision. But if I drive around drunk and I hit someone else, well then I'm liable because it's
Well,
I'm
that's yeah, exactly.
engaging in behavior that I'm not trying to get an accident,
Yeah,
but you're behaving in a way that is going to cause an
of
accident.
course.
So
Yeah, that and that's what that is actually against the law anyway. But I get it, no doubt.
yeah,
But like I said,
okay.
but it's interesting how they go in. So it's really good, really well done. I enjoyed it, and I'll see what I'm not sure what the next one is, but I'll watch it this week. I'm
The
sure.
next one is on
Um,
the mayor of
oh, you're right.
Toronto, or
Yes, yes. Okay, I do remember now. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's. Like I said, I don't know much about him, but it's something about when the mayor, one of these mayors in Canada, and his behavior. Right? Like I said,
Shenanigans.
yeah, yeah.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
I mean, this is a good start. Like I said, it's interesting. The next ones there's a couple more. One on the on I guess with the cruise ship and something was going on. So I think there was like food poisoning or something, and people were like going, basically everyone had diarrhea. It was just it was called the poop ship or something. It was pretty bad.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude.
poop shit. Just
And
saying.
the fourth one, I can't remember what the fourth one, but it
No,
was four.
exactly. But they're well
Yeah.
done, well produced. So I would look forward to continue to watch this series. Stick with the theme of documentaries and staying on Netflix. We got Titan, the Ocean Gate disaster. This one here, another recent event. With I guess the submarines commercial, I guess small one, attempting to go down to the depths of the Titanic, and things didn't go the way it's supposed to, and that thing imploded, and 5 people were killed, including the CEO of the company, who spearheaded this whole thing. I know you saw a recent documentary on this one, Chewy, and that you wanted to compare it.
Yeah, it was on
So
Discovery.
yeah,
So it's like,
it's an hour and 50 minutes, but it's a movie. The both films in that series. It was good. So I didn't see the one Discovery. I enjoyed this one. I thought it got a little bit too technical for me, so it's kind of a little bit dry at times. It was just over explaining everything behind it. I need to need all that in terms of the materials and this and the measurement. It was a lot there. I want to kind of get to the gist of the story itself. It was still well done. I enjoyed it and love it. Chew your thoughts on this one and how to compare
no,
to the
yeah,
other one.
man, a little bit drier than versus the Discovery one. I think
Okay.
the Discovery one obviously had the guy who actually interviewed him and went into or luckily didn't go down or didn't want
Ah,
to. I think when he
okay.
saw what was going on, and I think this one does a little bit more better explanation because it does get more into the investigators and whatnot. And then more interviews into people who worked there and who ended up leaving and what fights and other stuff that was going on. Since ultimately, they're both good, right? You can watch either one, you can see. I think this one does a better job of showing the I don't know, sure, it was criminal behavior. Like I said, here's a case where he's not listening to experts. He is telling them, hey, there's issues, right? And because they're monitoring stuff, because like with
Mhm.
carbon fiber, it's fibers, right? And so and there were signs. There was a big sign there. I think that like before that the final one there was like a big pop and showed, and he refused to even have it looked at. Some of the guys saying, "Hey, we need to look at it. We need to stop and say, hey, because it happened before." And when they looked at it, they had a huge crack, and so if it goes down again, it's going to implode or explode. And so it just shows more his arrogance that he wanted to
Yeah.
do this anyway, and that arrogance literally cost him his life because it's not like, oh my god, it was a complete accident. It wasn't.
It
This
could have
is
been avoided, I guess ultimately.
it should have could
Sure.
have, money drove some, maybe money drove some of his decision, maybe his hubris, saying it was, it's infallible, invincible, but when what really did it for me, and this one they didn't go into this one, the discovery, but like he refused to get this certified by
All
there's a
right.
couple
Yeah.
of agencies,
Yeah.
DNV, which I know because I use some of their software for modeling. They're a big company, right? And he refused to go to any agency to get this. Here's a certificate of whatever. Like when you build a building, you get it
Sure.
inspected, right? Okay, it's certified for occupancy or it's certified for certain things, and he never did. And I think and I think that shows me, okay, it's not going to pass the muster, and it's not ultimately safe. And maybe it may be a good technology, and it may work, but with like air, when you go on an airplane, these things are constantly inspected, and for good reason, right? You're expanding pressure, you're decreasing pressure, temperature, it all has an impact. And he took actions that showed me that, okay, he didn't really care. He was just more interested in doing the trip, and getting it down
Yeah.
there, so that he could do it versus taking into account, what can or should or did go wrong.
I think it's better that he went down with the ship because I think that makes him more palatable. Ultimately, it's like
Well, I mean,
he didn't send the lambs to the slaughter. It's like he was one of the lambs. So it
well,
is.
I said, like I said, that's where his arrogance and hubris, because
That's
he
what I'm
wanted.
saying,
I
right?
mean, like I said, he
Yeah.
got they showed me where he got to fight
I
with
think
with the lead
yeah.
with the lead driver or diver, right? Where
Mhm.
he it came to a point with, like, he literally, the guy had to come in and take it because he was like literally under this ship,
Yeah.
that he did, and completely screwed up. So it was amateur hour, really. I mean, he thought
Yeah,
he
I
was the
think it
smartest
was.
guy in the room.
Yeah, I think this is more arrogance than anything else. I don't think
Yeah,
he didn't believe nothing was wrong. Anything, if something was wrong, he never would have been in the ship. So that's why I would lean more. He's just being
yeah,
arrogant.
but when people tell you
Oh no,
it's
again,
it's
it's just
wrong,
he's the
and you
smartest guy in the room,
choose
right?
you choose
Yeah.
or you say, and everyone has that negative saying, he doesn't want to hear it. Okay, so
Oh
you're
no, of
basically,
course, it's
you're
negligent.
putting blinders on, and you don't even
Of
care. At
course,
that point, it's like that's
yeah.
willful, like you don't care because don't people were telling him, and he didn't want to listen.
No, I agree, but I think the fact that he put us in the ship, I think he himself believed nothing was bad.
well,
You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
right or
There's no
wrong,
because
probably,
it's
maybe,
just one thing like
maybe, yeah.
we see this all the time. A company knows something it's a defect and they just sell it anyway, and shit
Oh
happens.
no,
And
no, 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 no.
right,
I mean, I
right.
mean,
And
well,
in this
well,
case,
well.
he I
I
don't think
would
he
no,
believed it.
I would push back because they had data, right? 'Cause when they did the first
Sure.
testing, remember they were listening for
I
the
mean,
pings and
there
stuff,
were issues, but he I'm
and
saying
they were showing, and ultimately it resulted in a crack where they had to literally redo the hull because it
right,
cracked, right,
correct.
during the testing. So they knew it. They knew this was a possibility, and the
It's
monitoring
possible.
was when every time there was these sounds, those sounds were of
sure.
the actual fibers, splitting. When you split a
Mhm.
rope, right? It was that sound, and but you split so many, it loses integrity, and it's just
Of course,
paper
but
mache.
I don't think he knew that was going. He didn't think that was going to happen.
Well, no,
He
he
didn't.
didn't say it was going to happen this
But
time around.
that's what
No.
I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so
But
confident
but
because
but but when you choose not to inspect, you just say,
oh
okay,
listen, I'm
I
not
don't know.
saying he's not at
I didn't.
fault.
You're
Yeah,
playing
of
the.
course.
I didn't know it was going to
Yeah,
happen. No one told me. Well, wait, did you even look? Well,
for
no.
but
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I think it would have been worse if he had not been on the ship. Was what I'm saying. Because then you accuse the guy saying you knew it's wrong, you still happened. He
Well, I
volunteered
mean,
to go on
but
the
on
ship,
the other side,
right?
now he's free of responsibility because he's dead.
Well, I would assume he probably rather have option A than that option at the end of the day.
I don't know.
And I say, you
It's
want to
hard to
die
tell.
or you want to live
You
and
want to see
pay a
guys
bunch of
get the
money?
comeuppance, but he's dead, so he went down with the
Correct.
ship,
I mean, for
and
us, it's better if he wasn't shipping his comeuppance, but he got his own comeuppance at the end of the day, right? But I
yeah,
guess
but also at the result of
yeah.
killing for all the
Well,
people,
of
right? I
course.
mean,
Well, listen, if you pay people pay $100, if you're stupid enough to pay $100,000 for this, 100,000, and not do your research, that's on you.
well,
You're paying 100,000 per
yeah,
seat.
but also, but yeah, okay, but
Come on,
what do
man.
you what you know, like
Come
when
on.
you go flying, you expect it to be, you don't have issues, right?
Yeah, but
You're
but
not interviewing the pilots, you're
sure,
not
but there's
interviewing,
data.
you're not checking their safety
Of
records, you're paying
course
money.
not. Of course not. But there's
No, but
data on that thousands of flights a day, and then none of them crash.
well, yeah, there's data,
This is the
right?
first
Yes.
of its kind,
This is
you
of
and
this,
you
well, not the first of
well
this carbon fiber, because there's only many ships and many
fair
subs.
enough, right? This
Yes.
particular ship is maiden voyage.
Yes.
That's on you too. Saying, oh, you have $100,000. You're probably a very smart individual who can afford to spend $100,000 in this way. 'Cause, I mean, which means you probably have a lot more money. You could have built your own ship for that matter and lived. Point is, I mean,
Probably.
if you can throw 100,000 for a seat, you probably have millions of dollars, right?
No, no, these guys are not. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You just spent 100,000 for a seat for the you're broke. You didn't save up for this. So you worked hard in the summer. But listen, it is what it
Look,
is.
I'm curious to see the final report. It hasn't been issued
Yeah,
by
it's
the
been out.
Coast
Yeah,
Guard, but I'm
yeah,
sure
exactly. Yeah.
they're gonna I may agree with them more when they'll say as far as his actions or
Correct.
inactions,
Yeah.
because there's enough people there who were let go, pushed out, threatened when anytime there's
Well,
anything negative, or they said you got to do
it's all
this or you got to do that.
it's all bad
The lack of
optics.
getting the flag and certification
Yeah.
is a big red for me. It's a big red
Yeah.
flag. Well,
And
why don't you?
this is
Because
a
you
good
don't want to.
lesson. Yeah.
You suspect it's not going to pass, and you don't want that negative.
Right.
It didn't pass the mustard. It
This is
wasn't
going to be a
ski
good
worthy.
lesson for others moving forward. Is what
Yeah,
this is.
yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
we know we're going to be that guy, and that's as simple as that, right? And there's something things happen like this for a reason, and there you go, right? It just
Hmm.
people get arrogant. People with money. People, it is what it is. It ain't the only billionaire that acts like this. Let's be honest, right? Most of them probably do, right? The smartest men in the room, and that's the way they behave. So I get it. That said, this the last documentary. Let's go to the first show here on deck on Sci-Fi. No one's favorite channel, Revival show here, which
Not
I was
since they
gonna.
canceled the Expanse.
Not since the glory days of Mansquito, I refuse. I won't do
Mosquito.
it. That's it.
Gosh.
So I was gonna rely on you, Chewy. So what is Revival, and is it worth really worth the time? Excuse me.
So this is based on an image a graphic novel, right? So it has good source material. Image has put out some good stuff over the years, right? As far as now making them to movies and TV is a different story, but regardless, so this is based. The premise is some way somehow, and within a very short window, everyone who had died came back to life, right? And it was a very short window. It was like I think people died within a 2 week. It was a very short window because they had one person who had passed away and missed it by a day, right? He didn't come back. He didn't come back to life. So now it's not zombie esque. I mean, it sounds zombie, but it's not because they're like normal. They look act normal. But they discover that they're essentially and they're not immortal, but they get cut, the skin kind of grows back. You lose a teeth, the tooth kind of grows back. So there's obviously something going on, and so that's the premise of that mystery and what's going on. How do these people come back and what happened? It all happened in this one little town, right? So it's kind of been fairly isolated now. They've been quarantined and whatnot, and so I'm not sure if this is. It's probably a combination of zombies and vampires. I haven't read the comics. I don't know what the full story is, but it's fairly interesting. It's fairly well made for by sci-fi standards, and it got me. To take that with the sci-fi standards, okay, all right. So you're gonna see some things that look a little honky, but whatever. Um, but very interesting premise, interesting story, and at the end is a big twist because one of the characters, spoiler alert, Jerry, uh, that we come to find out didn't tell her family that she had died, and so she was one that came back to life, and you're like, oh shit, okay, so. But why this happened? Obviously, it's only one episode, so I have no idea at this point. Oh, I can't hear you.
Hello.
There we go. There we go.
Oh,
All
sorry
right.
about that. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. I'll see. I may give it a shot down the road.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I only gave it a shot
Oh,
because it was Image Comics,
no, it's
Image
fair. No, I get it.
IP,
Of
right?
course, Imaging
Um,
is giving us good stuff, so
yeah,
I'm fine with
yeah.
that.
From time to time, sci-fi gives some cool
Okay.
stuff, right? But
All right. Fair enough.
You know,
Fair
hey, they
enough.
gave us. I'm not sure if the sci-fi was actually the original home of Resident Alien or if it was USA or
I don't know.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was
But
sci-fi, but like I
okay.
said, that's a good funny show. So
Okay.
that's why I was like, okay, let's go for this one.
Okay. Next one's go to Amazon. A movie, Deep Cover. This one here has Nate from, of course, Ted Lasso. We got Bryce Dallas Howard and Orlando Bloom, of course,
Mm-hmm.
from Pirates
Legolas.
fame. We have Dallas Bryce Howard. She leads this improv class, which Nate joins, and so does Orlando Bloom. He's a he thinks he's a better actor than what he really is, doing commercials and can't get any more gigs. Doing improv, and one day they get approached by an undercover officer. What's this guy? What's this guy who dies in all the movies? Um,
Oh, Sean Bean,
Sean Bean, who spoiler
who who happens to.
to die in his movie. That's what this is. Not a spoiler because he dies in all his movies. So if I spoil it, come on, really? Did I? Seriously? But no, he recruits them to go undercover. Right, he's gonna pay him a little bit to go undercover, and he can bust his one of the crew, the gangs of selling drugs or whatever the case is, and they kind of really fall into the work, and things get more complicated. And as they remain undercover for reasons I won't spoil, and hilarity ensues. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Does hilarity ensue? Chewy, your thoughts on this Amazon Prime film?
I watched it. It also has Patty Cunnington. So he played. He was on Game of Thrones most
Well,
recently, I
well,
think. One of the shows.
Ian
Oh,
McShane
he's actually
is in here.
a
Yeah,
Mobland actor, as a matter of
yeah,
fact. So
Mob, yeah,
him,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mob, and Ian McShane, of course, John
Ian
Wick, and
McShane, of
yeah,
course, obviously had
yeah,
John Wick fame, and even before
obviously
Deadwood. So,
Deadwood,
uh,
of course, and even
yeah.
Game of Thrones, I think. He's always good,
No.
but yeah,
Oh,
so
yes, yes, he was Game of
yeah,
Thrones. Right,
yeah,
he was one of the priests of the Seven or whatever. Yeah, I remember now.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Good cast, good cast. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, pretty good cast. This guy's got some acting chops. Um, I didn't laugh as loud as I was hoping it was, but it was fairly entertaining, right? It wasn't bad, and with Prime movies, these have been more bad than good. I mean, if we have one
Yes.
coming up,
What
Heads of
yeah.
State.
Oh God, straight to Amazon Prime because they have movies that release in theaters which are really good.
Yes.
So if they release it, they don't do that for a reason.
Mhm.
Normally. But yeah, I'm with you. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I
Yes,
love
yeah.
the
Because
I
I'm
didn't.
thinking Amazon. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, terrible. It's not funny.
Right. No, this one
Um,
actually has good moments. Orlando Bloom
yes.
steals the show. Like,
Oh yeah.
every time he's chewing up scenery in this, I really liked what he did. It just got decent moments. It's not hilarious. I'm not laughing aloud, but I was amused. And I love the premise. It's a really cool idea, right?
Yes.
These improvers trying to blend in,
Infiltrate. Yeah.
infiltrate this crowd of drug dealers and thieves and murderers and all that, and they're pulling it off in certain ways. I love the premise, so that was really cool. That kept me in it. It's not bad. It's one of the low bar, one of the better films straight
Yeah.
to stream for them. But I
I
enjoyed it.
think that
I'm
one of
recommending
the
it for sure.
funniest parts where Lando Bloom character he has got a grenade, but then we come to find out it's a rubber grenade.
Oh
So he
yeah,
throws it, it squeaks, and what the fuck?
it's like
They start running around
it's a
and
funny
basically,
chase scene. Yeah, it's a really
yeah,
cool scene.
it's
Yeah,
Keystone
yeah.
Cops chasing, but they kept ending up in the same room. Like, what kind of the fuck is
Yeah,
going on
it's
here?
kind of ridiculous, but it knows what it is, so that's fine.
Yes.
But it works. It's a really cool premise. They do well in it for the script they get. But I actually enjoyed this one, so it's a recommend. Which
Yeah.
surprised me. I thought it was a dog shit. This one I
No,
expected
yeah,
to.
we thought this was gonna be Heads of State, which we're
Yeah,
anticipating Heads of State to be dog shit
that's
because
gonna be dog shit.
I mean,
I'm
no
sorry.
offense to John Cena, but most of his movies
I'm
are
not,
are dog shit. I mean,
I know.
I think the only one
I
I really liked that he was in was a Trainwreck, but he was just a
Trainwreck.
minor
He was
character.
really good. Well, no, the other
But
one
then
with Cock
Cock
Blockers. Actually,
Blockers,
that was yeah, that one Cock Blockers. I
Cock
like that one.
Blockers, that was actually
Yeah,
pretty
that
funny.
was pretty funny. To be fair, but you're right.
That
No,
worked for him,
yeah. In
yes.
terms of movies, shows Peacemaker, I love Peacemaker stuff for
Oh yeah,
sure.
well, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yes,
But either way, but yeah, and then I just but we know what I want to see because I want to see how bad this is. I really do.
yeah,
So
probably.
I gotta see it for myself. I know it's shit, but I gotta see it for myself. Next one, stick with Amazon. We got a show, a Mexican show. We got Support Our Latino Brethren. Mentiras. That's
Hmm.
lies for the Spanishly challenged individuals out there. This one here is based off a popular theatrical play. I think it's musical. So
Yes,
this is a
yes.
form of musical, 30-minute episodes, 8 episodes in total. We got a woman who gets a call that her husband died. So she goes out to, I guess, his parents' house, whatever, to just grieve, and he's got the ashes there. And when a couple of friends join her, an attorney, one of her best friends, all who knew the husband, his secretary, and then another woman shows up who's pregnant, who now claims that she's also the wife of said deceased. And not only that, minor spoiler in the first episode, minor. Now they were advised that one of them four is responsible for his death, and they have 12 hours to figure out who it is. And as they get deeper into the mystery of who done it, they discover a whole web of lies amongst all four people. And a lot of surprises come out and all that. So, Chewy, your thoughts on this one so far?
Interesting. I mean, it had. I mean, I completely forgot it was a musical. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 30-minute musical comedy. Okay, that's something new. Um, and I think it's obviously heavy on was it 90s, 80s?
Oh,
The genre.
it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So obviously it has that. And I think they even make a point at the beginning saying that was the best era of music, blah 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 blah. So whatever. And so it's heavily focused on that genre of music and stuff. Yeah. But whatever argument, some also say 90s, some say whatever. It depends when you grew up, right? Like I said, I
Sure.
appreciate the 80s because that's where we kind of grew up. 80s and 90s, right? Really. So it's different, right? And so I've enjoyed it, right? A lot of the comedies don't hit because it's not that we get lost in translation. I've said that
Sure.
about a lot of these Mexican comedies. Some are good, but some are that to me it's not funny, but maybe it's a cultural thing. And so this one I'm actually enjoying because it's that combination of a little murder mystery, musical, comedy, and so it's trying to blend all these genres together. And so far I've only seen 2 episodes, but for me it seems to be working.
Yeah, I started watching the first one, and I told myself, "Oh my God, this is a 10 minutes, and I'm going to be out." I had that feeling, but it got better.
Yeah.
Take down the review, and I started seeing four, and I was like, okay. And then this one, it's like got a mean girl ish kind of comedy at times, which I
Hmm.
appreciated.
Hmm.
This is great scene. I don't think you've seen it yet. What maybe you have. I don't know. I know it's second, third episode where the husband, they do a lot of flashback of the husband, engaging with the women, and he's telling a story of how his mom died. It's a pretty funny story, and it's a they make that story funny because his mom died a certain way because of something else, and she didn't really die that way. This happened after the fact, and it was actually pretty clever. So some really cool, clever moments in there. I enjoyed it, and the music is fine. Sometimes I fast forward to the music, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I was like, okay, this song, I'm not feeling it. You don't really miss a whole lot, to be honest with you. It's like maybe one, two songs an episode, maybe two songs. So it's not like it's a full music. It's not. It's got music in it, musical numbers in it. But I
Hmm.
enjoyed it. It's actually, decent. Nothing great, but if you're want something a little bit more unique, you're into more of the theatrical stuff, I think this will be up your alley, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. I agree.
Last one is the big release of the week, and of course that's Arnold. He's back, of course, in
Fubar.
Fubar season 2. Of course, he's a CIA agent because he's Arnold. So is his daughter. First season, he was unbeknownst to him, the daughter was in CIA, and they got involved in the case. And now, continuation of that, they're kind of in hiding, and a new enemy in the form of Carrie-Ann Moss, of course, Trinity. He's here, and hell breaks loose, right? Fubar. I like the first season. I thought it's not a great show. First season was not great. Oh my god, it was an entertaining show. This one, I've seen two. I wanted to see more, but my wife is a little busy because she watches it with me. Although she probably would have finished it. It's fine. I don't know. It's so stupid and dumb at times. It really is. The action's terrible, but it's still kind of entertaining at the same time. I mean, it's fun. If you're a fan of season one, you probably like season two. If you haven't seen season one, I don't know if this really be for a lot of people. There's a great one liner with the hose. I don't know, kill somebody with a hose and turns on the water. And I said, "Oh, he got hose." I was joking around, and the next line, "Arnold, you got hose." Oh my god, of course. Um, you know, it is what it is. Listen, it's fine. It's entertaining. It's not great. It really is. It's kind of nice with Cobra Kai, which is a bad show I still enjoy. At
Mhm.
the end of the day, right? So your thoughts, Chewy?
Uh yeah, so I said this was like one of these surprise season ones where it
Mm-hmm.
literally came out of nowhere and it caught on with people, right? For whatever reason.
Right.
It has a total a True Lies feel where it knows what it is. The action is exaggerated, cartoonish to a point, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not trying to be it's not trying to be Total Recall, right?
Yeah.
Or John Wick,
Clearly,
or
this
John
is
McClane.
it's not Mission
So
Impossible. Let's just make that
yeah,
clear
yeah,
right
but
now.
so it
Right.
so it's, it
Fair.
recognizes it
Yeah.
recognizes that, and I think it
Sure.
uses that to its advantage
I
to
mean,
play off
it,
with
it,
it
it
because
leans on it. It leans on it. It does.
yes, yeah,
So it's either
that
you're
that
gonna like it or you're gonna either love it or hate it at the end of the day. I
yeah.
think.
So to me it's funny. I like season one because it had the humor, right? It was trying to
Yeah.
be a serious action. And it was there's definitely a lot of if you listen to the dialogue, there's a lot of humor in the lines and stuff and what they say. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got hosed lines and stuff, but
Yeah.
there's lots of other lines.
Like that outside humor really saves the show. Like if this was like
Yes.
a serious, like it should be the worst
No,
show
no,
out
no.
there.
This is not
It's
trying to be serious
right,
by
of
any
course, and
stretch
it's
of the
not trying to be that
imagination.
way. So the humor does work in terms of the
I mean,
dialogue and
yeah, I
stuff.
mean
So
the whole that they're all stuck together in the same
yeah,
house and
some funny
hiding,
bits. It's funny bits.
and the ex husband or whatever that guy's a complete. He's drinking peanut butter jelly at those that beer cups.
I mean, it's not said that there's really funny moment, and that's what really saves this show is the comedy
Yes,
work. And the
yes, the
comedy
comedy,
works.
right? I mean, the
The
action is
comedy works.
exaggerated and stuff,
Yeah,
but I
the
mean, it's
comedy
not like
works.
it's terrible
Yeah,
action, but
yeah.
it's
I
not.
think
This
if
is
you,
a like I said, this is a True Lies show, is what it is. It's playing off of that those tropes, those exaggerated,
yeah,
the
True
shooting
Lies
scenes where
esque,
never
yeah,
get no
yeah,
one gets hit and,
yeah.
they get hit
Yeah.
second, but it's doing that on purpose as part of
No,
the
of course.
yeah.
So some people
It's not trying
are
to play off of being a serious action
yeah. If
show.
you
It's
wanna,
not.
if
This
you
is not the what was the
yeah.
one that got canceled? The lawyer who was CIA,
Oh, I forgot the name of
which
that
was
show.
really like because that was actually good
I
action.
like the show. Yeah.
I
I
can't
forgot the name of the
remember.
show.
They just recently
The
canceled it.
recruit. The recruit.
They
There you go.
recruit, yeah.
So yeah,
So this, I think this came out at the same time, season one, and obviously one
around
was
there.
like
Yeah.
that was like heavy, serious, good action, but this was like okay, but this is funny action type, not serious. And so obviously that got canceled. This one continued.
This
Take
is
it for what it's worth.
a marriage of, like you said, True Lies, and I'll say Last Action Hero. Both
Yes. Oh, well,
Arnold's
Last Action
area,
Hero, I
right?
didn't work because people didn't want to see it at that time. People
The
didn't want to see.
expectation, right? Expectation.
Yes.
So if you're kind of into that kind of feel, this is what this is, right? Some people are not gonna
Yes.
like this, and I get it. I really. If you want like a good crime action, this is not it. This is not for you.
No, no, no. But this is good fun.
This is probably more comedy than anything else,
Yes, it is absolutely.
right?
I mean
Yes.
the whole scene.
And that works. And
Uh,
that works. It does.
yeah, the where Karen Ross is doing the pole dance.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's just look. It's got some funny, and that's why for me saves the show. If the humor didn't hit,
Oh,
this would be an other. Because even if the humor didn't hit and the action was great, like, okay, fine. But the action doesn't hit, so it just leans on the humor, and thankfully for them,
yes.
it works. It really
Yes,
does.
yes. The
Yeah,
fun, the characters, the humor between the characters,
yeah,
really the guy, steps on a
that's fair.
mine. So what do they do? They tie together. So she's running with the mine.
Yeah, it's
There's
interesting. Yeah,
just so many
yeah,
different things. So yeah,
yeah.
there's just
And it's like
ridiculous.
I
But
said, it's ridiculous. You have
they're
to
meant to be
expect
funny,
that.
not
Yeah,
to be, oh, okay, well, this
absurd.
is such bullshit. It's not
Of
gonna happen.
course,
Of
it's
course not.
absurd, and you have to be. Yeah, if you're not into that, it doesn't sound like you've been. Then yeah, I get it. Believe me, I do.
Look, and it's always good to
Um,
see Arnold, rely on his comedy because he's got good comedic chops, right? I mean,
I mean, he
we
can't do
got
anything else. He can barely move. He's just, man,
well,
he's
yeah, this is true. But
woof.
even before he could move, there was twins, right? Which is funny, Danville. There was,
Oh,
Kindergarten Cop, which
oh
had a
no,
lot
no,
of
no, he
funny
can do humor. No, he's done humor. But
yes.
I'm saying he can't do both. He can't
No,
move
no,
anymore.
no, he
So,
can't do it. I mean, he's
so all
70.
you have is the
He's up
humor.
there. He's old,
He's
right?
I looked it up. He's 77. So
Yeah, okay. So yeah,
he's not a
so
spring
but
chicken.
hey, good to see him
No,
working. It
listen,
makes me
dude,
laugh. So
he's a legend as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's any argument there. He is an icon in terms of action. The 80. I mean, come on, he's Arnold for Christ's sake. He's the governor.
mhm.
So that's it for this week. So a few things here and there. Next week, not a big week. Give you a chance to catch up on some old shows if you need to. We got Underdogs, of course, a nature documentary, voiced by, narrated by Ryan Reynolds, of
Mhm.
course, on the Nat Geo, Disney, Hulu, whatever. We Were Liars, kind of a YA show coming out on Prime on the 18th. The Waterfront, Netflix, it's an interesting show, kind of, that's a gang show, a crime show, I guess, with the family who owns like the shipping yard or whatever the case is. And Olimpo, a Spanish show. Kids in some academy, and of course, kids do what they do: smoke drugs, rock and roll,
Just
sex, and
call
all
it
that good
Elite in
stuff.
a Sports Academy. It's all it is.
There you go. If you're familiar with Elite, so we got those four coming out. So we'll talk about these four, of course, next week, and of course every Sunday, letting you know what's coming out. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week.
Base.
Bye.